Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Jim Mon, and I'm going to be doing the demonstration today. And we're going to be talking about CSI and SyteLine, easy, fast, and powerful reporting and dashboards. We're going to be speaking specifically about a product called CyberQuery or CQ. And my contact information is down here at the bottom. So if you have any questions or you'd like the free evaluation copy that we offer during this session, feel free to email me or phone me, whatever's easiest for you. So we're going to get started. Now, I can't take questions directly, but there is a question and answer section in your toolbar for Zoom. I will be checking that from time to time throughout the demonstration. So if you have a question, or if I say something that doesn't make sense, please just type it in that question and answer box, and we'll deal with those as we go along. Okay, so just real high level, we're going to start off with some PowerPoints. High level agenda. We're going to talk about typical customer requirements. We're going to talk about customer case studies and using CyberQuery with CSI and SyteLine. And I should probably clarify a couple terms. When I say CSI, I'm normally talking about CSI in the Infor cloud. The multi-tenant cloud could also be the government cloud, but basically in the multi-tenant cloud from Infor. When I say SyteLine, that's on-prem. So it might be SyteLine 10, which is also known as CSI, but SyteLine typical means on-prem to me. Likewise, when it comes to our product, you might hear me refer to it as CyberQuery or CQ. The old name of the product was Enterprise CyberQuery or ECQ. So again, if you hear me use any of those terms, they're all interchangeable. So we're going to talk about customer case studies using the software with both CSI and SyteLine. We'll go over the product, kind of a high-level overview, and then we're going to jump in and just show you how the product works with CSI and SyteLine data. And then at the end, we'll do a wrap-up, and if you have any questions, we'll answer them then. Or again, if you'd just like a free evaluation copy of the software, send me a note. There's also a survey you'll see at the end. You can just check a box, and we'll send you a link to download the software. We'll even help you get it set up. We've got a nice report library of probably 100, 200, sample reports that cover everything. So whether it's an AR aging report or all kinds of manufacturing or sales dashboards, they're all in that library. So we'll help you get those set up as well. So that's kind of the agenda we're going to follow. Just jumping right in here. When we talk about our software with other SyteLine or CSI customers, first thing people ask us about is easy access. They want to get easy access to either SyteLine on-prem or CSI in the multi-tenant cloud, but they might also ask for additional information. They may want to access CPQ, configure price quote, or Infor CRM, or Salesforce, or SAP, or Oracle, or JD Edwards, or Paylocity. But again, with CyberQuery, you can access any of the data you need very fast, very easily. Second thing people talk about is what kind of reports can we do? And I'm going to show you a bunch. All kinds of reports, charts, analytics, and BI, including things like scheduling and email distribution of all your reports and dashboards, linked reports where you can click and drill down through a report or through a dashboard or chart. We'll also show you a bunch of output to Excel, PDF, and HTML. The third thing people talk about is the power and functionality side of CyberQuery. There's several good tools out there that let you do simple things with SyteLine and CSI. CyberQuery lets you do the real complex, the real powerful reports you may need, including things like financial statements, income statements, balance sheets, all of that, all kinds of audit reports, bills of material, logistic reporting, sales analysis, any kind of production data you need, you can get through CyberQuery when it comes to SyteLine and CSI. The other thing we'll talk about are dashboards. I'm going to show you a bunch of examples just designed to be colorful, impressive, with unlimited levels of drill down. So you can start with a sales chart, sales by month and drill down. And now look at this sales by sales rep or sales by customer, sales by product line, and drill down again to get by item or by invoice or by any way you want to slice and dice your data. You can do that. And I'll show you that as we go through the demo today. The other thing people talk about is the cost. Cyber queries very reasonably priced. They got a great return on investment, low risk. You can license the software any way you like, monthly, annual, or on a perpetual basis. Because so many SyteLine and CSI customers have been burned by other reporting tools, most customers like to start with the monthly plan because there's no commitment. From there, they'll upgrade to the annual or the perpetual plan whenever their budget allows. So these are the typical requirements we see when we're talking with SyteLine and CSI customers looking at reporting and BI dashboard tools. Now, this next slide is just showing a sample of some of our customers. With Cyber Query, we have over 4,000 customers. So we've got big names and little names and everybody in between. Some of the names that would be important to you would be people using the software with CSI and with SyteLine. We have over 250 sites running Cyber Query with SyteLine and CSI. Some of the names to point out would be Harsco IKG, Sportsman Boats, Dayton Phoenix, Air Tractor, Triumph, Active Minerals, Radius, Ulrich, Genesis, NIC Global. Those are all SyteLine. Some of the CSI customers would be Blodgett, MSM, Stingray Boats, Evo, Rigaku, and again, the list goes on and on and on. So again, 250 plus sites using Cyber Query with SyteLine or CSI. One of the first customers to talk about is our very first CSI customer. These are the guys at Stingray Boats. Stingray Boats met us at the Sun Conference about 3 years ago. So it's kind of the last one before COVID. Anyhow, the IT manager came up to me and said, "Hey, Jim, will Cyber Query work with CSI?" And unfortunately, at the time, it did not. So anyhow, about every quarter, this IT manager would check in with me and say, "Hey, does it work with CSI yet?" And the answer was always no. Well, the manager got tired of hearing no from me, so he sent an email to our president and said, "Hey, I really like the look and feel of Cyber Query. I think it would do great in CSI. When can I get a copy?" So the president said, "Hey, these guys are really interested. Let's build the interface." So we built the interface to CSI about 18 months ago, and business has just taken off. So with Cyber Query, you can do all kinds of reports. Here's one of the first reports that the guys at Stingray Boats did. They had tried to do this report in other packages offered for CSI, could not do it. Obviously, we did it. I wouldn't be able to show you this. But again, it's showing by boat all the information about hull color and bottom color, motors. But the complex part of the report is Cyber Query recursively joins back to the job route and JRT schedule tables to figure out when a boat is going to go into a particular work center or when is it due to come out of that work center. But again, very complex reporting can be presented very simply using Cyber Query. And again, users can click and drill down off of any of these reports. And the bottom line is we know SyteLine and CSI, so we can help you with your reports. Over the years, we've built thousands, probably tens of thousands of reports for SyteLine and CSI. And one of the great things about Cyber Query is it makes your CSI data look just like on-prem SyteLine. So all the reports we've built for SyteLine will work with CSI and vice versa. Okay, here's a great reference from our friends at Independent Can. Dave Alugin, the VP of the supply chain, sent me this email and said, "Hey, Jim, the addition of Cyber Query helped us rescue our implementation of SyteLine. Our associates were ready to abandon the project because they were not able to access their information easily. The data was in the system, but they could not see it in the formats they wanted. CQ permitted us to bridge the gap and drive deeper system acceptance. We are now able to leverage all of our information for faster and more accurate decisions." And that's really the bottom line in what Cyber Query provides. Asked specifically, why did they buy Cyber Query? They had to consolidate data from multiple sites. And again, Cyber Query can read across multiple databases if necessary. They wanted to automatically email the executives dashboards every morning, and the IT people didn't want to have to come in and babysit those jobs. So again, CyberQuery's got a great scheduling system. They're looking for something easy and fast where they could train the department users to build 90% of their own reports. They were looking for a replacement for manual consolidation. Again, CyberQuery does that. And then the ability to deliver on promise. So if they promised a user a report or a dashboard, they knew they could deliver with CyberQuery, and the software was not going to run out of gas on them. The last thing down here is they were looking for something cost effective. And again, CyberQuery is very cost effective. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go along. Another reference from the guys at UEA, that stands for United Equipment Accessories. This is Howard. Howard's kind of a character. You can kind of tell just from that picture. But basically, he said, CyberQuery truly is drama-free software. And then he added, isn't it about time? And said, we can't imagine conducting business without CyberQuery. So one of the things we're really happy with at CyberScience is we got great customers, and they give us great references all the time. Okay, here's an example of a dashboard we do for a company called NIC Global. The operations manager came to us and said, hey, I'd like a dashboard where with just a blink of an eye, I can see what's going on out on the shop floor. So they sat down with one of our consultants and came up with this idea of the stoplights. So a green stoplight means no jobs over standard in that work center group. A yellow stoplight means one job over standard. The red stoplight means more than one job over standard. So again, the operations manager can look at this dashboard and say, okay, I've got an issue in the turret group. They click on turret, and they can drill down and see within the turret group each individual work center. And again, whether that work center is red, green, or yellow. They can then click on a work center and drill down and see the jobs that are currently open in that work center. And again, whether they're red, green, or yellow. They click on a job and they can drill all the way down to see who are the people logging time against that job, and are they over or under the standard in terms of minutes. So again, they can start off with a real high view. As a matter of fact, this dashboard was so successful, they ended up putting it on a touchscreen monitor out on the shop floor. So managers can just walk around, and with a finger, they can go tap, tap, tap to get the data they want to see. Okay, here's an interesting chart we do for another CSI customer. CSI data is in green. So you can see bookings in CSI in green. The purple is data coming from Salesforce. And again, CyberQuery can merge data from Salesforce and CSI. And then the blue data is the corporate forecast that's coming out of Excel. But again, CyberQuery can read those three different data sources, and a user comes in here and they go click on any of these bars, and it'll drill them down and show for this particular time period, here are orders in Salesforce that have a corresponding booking in CSI. Here's a booking in CSI without a corresponding sales order in Salesforce. And then again, this fourth one down is kind of what you want to see, where you've got the salesman showing this value closed, and there's that same value in CSI. The variance is $1, so everything's great. But again, combining data from multiple sources, if you need that, is something that CyberQuery does very nicely. Okay, so CyberQuery, when you talk to our customers, they're going to tell you, hey, it just works. It does what we say it does. If you're talking about ease of use, it may be for an executive just clicking on a dashboard, or it may be for an end user who's dragging and dropping fields to build a report. It might be for a power user who wants to slice and dice and drill down through data, or even a programmer who wants to look at the syntax behind all the pretty screens. So users can work at any level they choose. Administration probably takes about 30 minutes a week to administer CyberQuery in a SyteLine environment, so very little administration required. Speaking of power, again, any report you can dream of doing, any drill down, any dashboard you can do in CyberQuery. Performance, the software is fast. In an on-prem environment, CyberQuery is going to be reading anywhere between 40 and 140,000 rows a second. In the QDB environment, or in the CSI environment, we actually have perfected some tools that will actually do extracts and then incremental updates from the cloud environment into what we call QDBs, query databases. These query databases are super fast. So in a CSI environment, you can be reading 1 million or 2 million rows a second. These refreshes can also be done as frequently as you choose. You can even make them part of your report. So if you want to do a refresh immediately part of building an income statement, you can do that with CyberQuery. But it's server-based, makes it very easy to maintain security, control users, share reports. Again, it just makes it very central to control everything when it comes to CyberQuery. Okay, security, you can secure the data any way you like, whether by site, by database, all the way down to the table, row, and even column value level. So if you need to do security by sales rep or security by project or contract, again, you can do that in CyberQuery. Licensing, again, you can license the software any way that makes sense for you. So you can license it annually, perpetually, or again, most people start month to month, and then they'll upgrade once they've decided how many users they're going to have. An average license for CyberQuery is probably 5 developers, and then depending on how many runtime users, I'd say the average SyteLine user, maybe with 100 SyteLine seats, probably spends $1,200, $1,300 a month on the software. Now we have smaller licenses, so don't let that number scare you away. So if you're smaller than that, let's talk, because we do have smaller licenses if you need those. Okay. Here's an example of a report, again, CyberQuery, that goes across multiple modules within SyteLine or CSI. So as you probably know, you can enter orders as a good old CO, a customer order. You can enter it as a field service contract, a field service and repair order, or as a project. So CyberQuery can read across all these modules within SyteLine, consolidate the data down to one number if that's what you want to see, and again, let you drill down. Going across the top are unit code 2s, but again, users just click to drill down. Okay, here's an example of a good old income statement created by CyberQuery with SyteLine data. You can see current month, percent of sales, year to date, prior year, budget, all of that. But a user comes in here and all they do is click. So we support any major browser, whether it's Internet Explorer, Internet Edge, Firefox, Chrome, Safari. So even if you got people walking around with iPads or even iPhones, they can still get the reports. They can even build reports from any of those devices. But again, a user comes in here and says, okay, what's going on with the cost of materials? They go click, and now they drill down, and now they can see cost of materials broken down by ledger account. Again, they just come in here and click on any of these items, and now it's going to drill them down and show finalized transactions for that particular ledger account. And again, you can keep clicking down from there. You can even link to POs where you might want to click back there. But again, unlimited levels of drill down when it comes to CyberQuery. Okay, here's an example of an invoice that one of our customers has created. The interesting thing about this invoice is the top third, that's data coming out of SyteLine. The bottom 2/3, that's data coming out of CPQ. But again, with CyberQuery, you can pull the data together from any data source you may need. Okay, as you build reports and you choose to share those reports, you publish them to the Launchpad. And again, users just go in from their browser, they go click, click, click to find the report or the dashboard they want, and they drill down from there. But this is all customizable. So your own logo, color schemes, graphics, tree structure over here on the left. But again, that's all controlled by you. Okay, CyberQuery's also got a great Excel interface. We don't just print to Excel as if it were a sheet of paper. We'll actually output sums and maxes and mins wherever possible. We've also got a great Excel add-in where users can sit in Excel and pull in information out of SyteLine or CSI directly into a given cell or a range of cells. So this spreadsheet you're looking at has got 3 SyteLine reports in it. There's blue data, the green data, and the gray data. It's all coming out of SyteLine. These light yellow cells are just input fields that drive those reports. These bright yellow cells, those are local variables and forecasts. So again, the user can extract the data, go in and build their forecast, save this spreadsheet, come back to it next month and say refresh. or email it to his or her boss. The boss just says refresh, or again, changes the input fields to refresh the data from SyteLine. But again, everything that's been done at the Excel level, like these particular charts, continue to function as they were built in Excel. Okay, here's an example. CyberQuery supports all kinds of barcodes and QR codes. Here's an example of a good old costed and indented bill of material output to Excel this time. Here's an example of a bill of material with a routing on top of it. And then here's just some sample dashboards. This is a spark line just showing the trend in data. This next object is a bullet chart. Bullet charts are a lot like gauges, but they take up a lot less real estate on your screen than a gauge would consume. So if you, for example, you look at revenue, you can see we're at $95 million and we're ahead of target. That vertical bar is target, and we're in the good area. That light blue is good. Medium blue is satisfactory. Bright blue is poor. And if we're only in the poor area, you see a bullet appear. That's why they call it a bullet chart. But again, users just click on any of these labels or bars to drill down. When it comes to objects in CyberQuery, pretty much any object you can imagine you can use in CyberQuery. Here's an example of a daily performance dashboard. What we did for a SyteLine customer here a month or so ago. But again, it's showing revenue by year by month in terms of sales. Here's invoices. So this is bookings. This is invoices. Here's POs. Here's PO receipts. I can come down here and I can expand on any of these months to see what happened yesterday or the day before or today. And again, users just click to drill through by clicking on any of these bars or these lines or these values here. And now this dashboard is emailed out to their executive team every morning. So the executives got kind of a high level view of what's going on in the company. And again, all they need is a browser and the ability to click. Okay, here's another dashboard with kind of a security structure over here on the left. So California sees California data, Arizona, corporate sees all data. So again, you can have a security structure in your dashboards if you need that. Here's an example of a bubble chart superimposed upon a map. And then here's a good old heat map showing purchasing power by county across the US. And again, users can just click on a county and drill down. Here's a scorecard with red, yellow, green, purple lights going on. These are product codes going down the left with unit code 2 going across the top. But again, users just click on any of these lights to drill down. Okay, now here's the one technical slide in the presentation. So CyberQuery is what we like to call a dictionary-driven environment. This dictionary is built automatically. So we've got a toolkit that populates this data based upon your SyteLine or CSI environment. And what this dictionary holds are things like both the native as well as the user-friendly table names and field names. And I'll share what that means here in a second. It goes through and also figures out the joins between all the various tables. That's what makes it possible for end users just to click and drag and build the reports. No coding necessary. They just click and drag. The system handles multiple sites and multiple databases and or applications just right out of the box. You can, if you want, put them in separate dictionaries. You can have as many dictionaries as you want. Makes no difference to us. Some of the nice things about the dictionary is it translates some of those funny data types that Infor likes to use. So Infor likes to use a timestamp for every date field. And timestamps are great for manufacturing, where you care about the hour, minute, and second when a job starts and stops. But the accounting people or the sales guys, they don't care about hour, minute, and second. They just want to know, did an order come in on that date? If so, we count it. If not, we don't count it. So CyberQuery builds a sister field for every timestamp that's a date, just making it easier for people to use the system. We also handle all the enumerated and text fields, all the notes fields. So again, people just drag and drop. Okay, now the reason the system is so fast is we got native drivers, whether you're looking at SQL Server, Progress, Informix, DB2, Oracle DB2, or CSI in the cloud. We also support flat files and index file structures. So again, pretty much any data structure you're going to run across, you're going to be able to access with CyberQuery. Now, important point important item to point out is cyber query is read-only. So just because somebody has access to cyber query does not mean they're going to be able to modify any of your SyteLine or CSI data. Okay. In addition, the dictionary allows you to define viewpoints, and you can have as many viewpoints as you want, because you may want to configure it where the salespeople see exactly 0 SyteLine or CSI tables. All they see are some ECQ data marts and cubes. They don't see any of the native tables. You might have a viewpoint for purchasing where they see 10 or 20 tables. Finance might see 100 or 200 tables, but again, they don't need to see all 1,800 tables in SyteLine 10. Okay, the other great thing about this solution is our support team. We got great support people. They average over 8 years of experience with the software. They know cyber query inside and out. They also know SyteLine and CSI because they help build that report library. A lot of the people on the support team are also consultants. So again, they've worked with customers to build bills of material or bills of lading or whatever it might be for SyteLine. So again, they know where to go to start building those reports. We've also got great either remote or on-site training. So again, we provide the full package, not just the software. We actually provide training, support, consulting, whatever you might need. Okay, summary slide. Starting down here at the bottom, all the user needs is a browser. From the browser, they're going to connect to the cyber query server. That can be any Windows, Unix, or Linux box. Most SyteLine and CSI people are using Windows. That could be on-prem, it could be in the cloud. But basically what happens is when a given user logs in, one user may only see one site or just one table. Another user connecting to the same server may see multiple sites or multiple tables or multiple applications, all based upon either user ID or Active Directory groups. However you choose to maintain those people, you can do it. They may or may not see ECQ data marts and cubes. It's all controlled by your organization. The other nice thing about the solution is there's a complete scheduling system as well as scripting or macro capability that surrounds the entire product. So you can build one job that runs the first day of every month that generates 50 financial statements. The accounting people can go in and look at those statements and say, oh, we forgot to do this or we need to do that. They go back into SyteLine or CSI, enter those transactions, come back, click the button, and regenerate those 50 statements, all super quick. So again, powerful, easy to use, and yet very robust. That's really what we provide with cyber query. Okay, last slide. If you like what you see, we'll just send you a free evaluation copy of the software. We'll help you configure it and install it. We'll even help you with some of those proof of concept reports that you want to use. And then we go away, let you play with the software for 30 days. If you like it, keep it. If you don't like it, send it back to us, all at no cost. So that's what we mean by the ECQ test drive. Okay, here's my contact information again. So if you want to email me or call me, feel free to do so. I'm going to jump out of PowerPoint and we're going to get into, I'm just going to open my browser. Let me just maximize that. So I've logged in. Let me back up one slide. So I just logged in and this is my landing page. My landing page is busy just because I can access data from Infor or Oracle or SAP or Microsoft, Epicor, Glovia, you name it. We're going to focus on Infor. Within Infor, we support all of their major ERPs, whether it's Infor LN, Bond, SyteLine, M3, SXE, Lawson, EPIX, PRMS, you name it. We support it. We're going to obviously go right here in SyteLine, and I'm going to make my window a little bit bigger here. Now, not every user that comes into the software is going to see all the modules. So Cyber Query HTML is where you go to build reports. Again, it's just all drag and drop. Command line we use during setup, really don't need it much after that. So that'll disappear pretty quickly. Launchpad, that's where most end users are going to land. So I'm going to show you that first. Other modules, dictionary managers, where you maintain that dictionary environment. QDirector is the scheduling package. And CQ Publish is the module that lets you take a report from Cyber Query HTML and then publish it into the Launchpad. Now, again, since most end users are going to land on the Launchpad, let's start right there. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger again. Now, again, users just come in here and they go click. Now, they can click on any of these icons. They can click on these on the tree structure here on the left. But again, users just click. And this is all customizable with your own logos, color schemes, graphics. I'm going to go look at my financial statements. I'm going to look at the financial dashboard. So I'm just going click, click, click. System goes out there and runs my dashboard new, and comes back here with several objects in this dashboard. I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit. Oop, going the wrong way, sorry. Okay, so this is showing green is income, blue is owner's equity, that pink line is return on equity. So again, a user comes in here and they can click on any of these bars. But if I click on that bar, for example, it's going to go out there. In this case, it's going to generate an income statement for me for that particular period. And again, I can come in here, any place I see a blue underscore, I go click, and this is going to drill me down to show me, by ledger account. I can keep clicking and drilling. I can export this data to Excel, PDF, HTML, or a cyber query format just by clicking right there. So again, end users just need to click. That's all they really need. I'm going to go back here. Let's go look at a sales report. Matter of fact, here's a sales dashboard with gauges. Cyber query supports something like 16 different gauges. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. But again, you can click on these gauges and drill down. This wine bottle is also a gauge. Kind of fills up as the sales reps are reaching quota. Don't ask me the significance of the wine bottle, but there it is. But again, users just click to drill down. Let's go back. I'm going to show you another kind of sales dashboard. This one's using lines showing revenue by year by month. Here's margin by year by month. Here's revenue versus margin percentage line. But again, a user comes in here and they can click on any of these bars or these lines or these gauges, and you might immediately jump them someplace, or in this case, it pops open a menu to say, do you want to look at details for this month? Do you want to see details year to date? I'm going to go year to date. Goes out there, runs the report for me, and now it's showing me revenue year to date by sales rep. And you'll notice those little arrows in front of the sales rep's name. So if I click on that arrow in front of Adam Wood, it expands and collapses based upon that click. So now I can see Adam Wood, and I can see it by customer. And again, I've got all these blue underscores. I can just go click and drill down and see the individual transactions for that customer for that time period. And again, anytime I want, right mouse click, dump it to Excel, PDF, HTML, just that easy. So again, end users, all they need to do is click. Okay, so let's, as you publish reports, just a couple things to point out. As you publish report, like this report called Alan, you specify whether the report can be viewed, whether it can be run, whether it can be cloned. Clone means make a copy and then let the user edit that copied version. You could, although you probably don't want to, allow somebody to edit a published report. But this fourth one over, I kind of like. This one is called subscribe. Subscribe is designed to get IT out of the business of having to push reports to user. This lets the end user come in here and say, hey, I like this report and I want to start receiving it at the current time, on the current date, and then every X number of, let's say I want to go every third day or minute or hour, or weekday, month, whatever, kind of pick your favorite. You can also say, hey, don't send me the report if there's no qualifying record. So you can set it up as an alert. You can specify the email address or addresses where you want it sent. And you can specify whether it's going to go out as an HTML document, and that's HTML5, text, Excel, PDF, or a cyber query format. So again, pick your favorite. And then you just subscribe or unsubscribe to any of these reports for a given email. Okay, so that's kind of what an end user can see and do inside a cyber query. So let's go back here, and I'm going to go into cyber query HTML just to show you how that works. Okay, and I got a question that came in, said, does cyber query consume a SyteLine or CSI user ID? The answer is no. Because we're talking directly to the database, we do not consume a SyteLine user ID or a CSI ID. We're going straight. And again, part of that is we don't want to consume those IDs. But the other reason is performance. Again, the software is just designed to be super fast. Okay, I've said I want to build a new report. the system says, okay, what kind of report do you want? Do you want to do a list report? That's good old rows and columns. I can build a summary or a crosstab or pivot table-like report. I could also do a plot or a chart. I can do labels of any size and format, or I can start with an existing inquiry and modify that. But just to show you how easy it is to use, let's do a list report. I'm going to click on list, and I'm going to say next. The system says, okay, where do you want to start? Now, if you look here, you can see we're looking at this native viewpoint. That's showing me the native names for my CSI or SyteLine tables. And all of them are in here. I can see every table that I have privilege to see. So if I type in the word job, here's my job master. Oh, by the way, this is a SyteLine 10 data dictionary. SyteLine 8 is just going to say job with no master. SyteLine 9 is going to be the same here. But there's job, here's job route, job tran. But again, every table in SyteLine is visible with CyberQuery, including your custom tables and your custom fields. Because we build the dictionary at your site with the toolkit, we pick up all of the fields that you have for any given table or IDO if we're talking CSI. So if you've got custom fields in your CO item master, we'll pick them up, whether it's SyteLine on-prem or whether it's CSI in the cloud. But again, every table we want. So any table that's got a word job, either in the name or the description, is right there. Notice we also pick up, job track and doc track and that information as well. But let's go back here. And I don't want to look at job. I'm going to show you one of the nice features of CyberQuery. I'm going to go to my viewpoint. And rather than look at the native, here's my end user names. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to type in here CUST. So if I come in here and I click on that table for customer address, most people that know SyteLine will tell you, hey, there is no table in SyteLine called customer address. That's the good old cust adder master table. So this end user viewpoint just gives you a more intuitive naming structure to help the end users figure out where they want to start the report. So I can start with customer address rather than cust adder master. Likewise, if I click on here's customer orders or customer, right there, that's the good old CO master table. So again, the end user viewpoint just gives you a nice intuitive naming structure. But for our example here, let's go, I'm going to go look at the item master. I'm just going to type item. I'm going to grab that particular table, and to build a report, all I do is I go click and drag, or I can double click. So all I'm doing right now is selecting fields that I want in my report. So I've got item description. I'm going to double click on unit of measure. Let's get the PMT code, product code. Let's get the unit cost. And now I'm going to say, you know what? I want to bring in here my quantity on hand, but I don't know where quantity on hand lives in SyteLine. No problem. I just come in here to my filter and I'm going to type the word hand, H-A-N-D. The system looks through the dictionary and says, okay, you've got 3 tables that have the word hand in the field name. I'll say, okay, yeah, I think it's that item warehouse file. Yeah, there it is. I go click, drag, just drop it anywhere. So it's that easy. And notice, CyberQuery does not ask me as the end user how to go from the item master to the item warehouse file. It's already figured that out. I just click and drag. CyberQuery writes the SQL or figures out the join between the various tables. So if I want to bring in here warehouse, I'm just going to click and I'm going to drop it right there above quantity on hand. So again, click, drag, drop from any related table. That easy. When we're happy with the fields we selected, I click next. The system says, okay, do you want to sort in the report? I'll say, yeah, let's sort it based on item. I just double clicked and I'll say next. The system says, do you want to select? Now we can select on any field and we can use pretty much any comparison operator or Boolean operator known to mankind. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So I'm going to kind of click out of that box and I'll say cancel that, but I'm going to say finish. So system goes out there, runs the report. And if you look down here in the bottom part of my screen, you can see we've just read 53,000 rows and generated 1,100 pages of output, just that quickly. And again, this is the main screen in the reporting environment. I just click and drag. So if I want to bring in here family code, I go over my dictionary over here on the left, type an F, jumps down to family code. I go click, drag, drop. So again, I just click from my dictionary, drag it in my report. Anytime I want, if I highlight a column, I can do my right mouse click, and right mouse is going to show me all of my options. Do I want to delete it, move that column to the parking lot? The parking lot's that lower left-hand corner. Maybe I want to insert a copy or invert the selection list. But again, I just go click, click. In this case, I'm going to say delete, and now family code's gone. But it's left mouse, right mouse. That's all your developers need to know. If I want to do a calculation, I'm going to highlight unit cost. I'm going to hold down my control key, highlight quantity on hand, and again, do a right mouse click. Now the system recognizes that I've got multiple columns highlighted. So it says, what do you want to do? Do you want to group those columns? Do you want to add them, subtract? This lets me subtract the first from the second or the second from the first. I could multiply or I can divide. I'm going to multiply. And the system goes out there and creates a new column for me. Guesses at a column header. I'm going to double click on that column header. And I'm going to say that's my extended cost. I'm going to force it all to uppercase by clicking right there. I'll say OK. And there we've got a new column header. I'm going to also come in here. I'm going to highlight that column, do a right mouse click. I'm going to go to my item properties. Item properties is where you go a lot. I'm going to go into item properties, and I'm going to say that's a numeric column, but I only want to see 2 decimal places. Just check there. And I've got 2 already there. Say OK. And now I'm just looking at 2 decimal places in extended cost. I'm going to highlight that column again. This time I'm going to say I want to sort that column descendingly, so we get our most expensive items up at the top of the report. We'll make that the primary sort, or the first sort. So now we're looking at extended costs sorted. And the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, you know what, I know my controller, she only wants to see manufactured items. I'm going to highlight an M, do a right mouse click, come down here and say, hey, only get me items equal to manufactured. So that easily now we're just looking at manufactured items sorted descendingly by our extended cost. And again, it's all left mouse, right mouse, drag and drop. It's that easy. Now, the other thing you'll notice is all these icons look very much like Excel. So they should be familiar to everybody on the call. But I can come in here. This is this most popular button in the product. That's the good old undo button. And I can click undo and undo and undo, or I can click redo and redo. It's unlimited levels of undo and redo. Highlight M again, right mouse click. Oh, it's thinking about it. I think I got carried away hitting my undos and redos. But just to kind of talk about the icons here for a second. The next icon over is my run. I can click run, and anytime I have a question, I can hit my stop button. And CyberQuery will say, okay, SQL, I've got enough rows. So you don't need to read 30 million rows to start laying out a report. Read a few thousand, say stop, and you're good. Next icon over is my schedule, and I can schedule the report by clicking right there. After that's my Excel button. And again, Excel is going to let me dump that report directly into Excel. And I'm going to do this one more time. It looks like I am going to do this. I'm going to see if I can do this. You can tell it's a live demo when you actually have an issue. Let's do it this way. I'm going to go back here to my browser again. I'm going to start a new session. And we're just going to really quickly redo that report. We're going to do a list report. And again, we're going to go look at, I'm just going to type in here. We'll go look at our item table. So here's this, the item table right there's what we want. I'm going to get item. I'm going to get item description, unit of measure, product code, PMT code. Let's see. It looks like I clicked too fast on product code. And I'm going to bring in here my quantity on hand. There it is in my item warehouse file. Let's drag that in here. We've got that. Let's also bring in here, again, I like to have that warehouse field just so I can see which warehouse that data is coming from. And I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to go next. And I'm going to sort it based on item, and I'm going to say finish. So again, that quickly, we're going back to where we kind of were. And I'm going to do again, I'm going to do that calculation. Oh, I didn't bring in unit cost. Here's unit cost. I'm going to grab it and just drag it back into my report, drop it right there. And again, I'm going to highlight unit cost, hold down my control key, multiply those two together. There we've got our extended cost. And I'll double click on that again. Extended cost, and I'll be careful when I click all my undos. I think I got carried away again. So do that. Now I can also do my right mouse click, or I can click right there if I want to jump right to my item properties, and I'll say numeric, 2 decimal places. We're going to say okay. There we go. And let's right mouse click, and I can highlight the column. I can also click right there. You can see there's hotkeys for some of these things that are used over and over again. So there I've got that. I'm going to right mouse click over here. I'm going to highlight my M's and say only show me M's. So I'm only going to get product PMT code equals M, and there we go. So again, I can schedule this report. Let me just show you that. So I'm going to schedule it. If it says, okay, to say you got to give it a name, Jim. So let's do this. We're going to call this one CSI _001. Yes, so I've used that name before. Save it. Okay, it says, okay, now to schedule this, it says, which queue do you want to use? I've only got one queue on my server. And I'm going to give it a title. I'm just going to call this a test report. Okay, I'm going to say next. The system says, do you want to submit for immediate execution or submit with a pattern? I'm going to create a pattern. And I'm going to come in here and say, let's run this report every, we'll make it every second weekday from now until the end of time. Or I could say, no, only run it until a certain date. Or I could also say, run it during business hours, every hour, every 2 hours, every 4 hours, whatever. I'm going to go back to just every other day. And it says, okay, do you want to email? Do you want to get an email every time the report runs? I'll say no, but I will say yes. Send me anytime there's an error with the report. And then for all the outputs, send it to my email address, space, Joe's email address, Mary's email address is right there. And I can say send it out as a Excel spreadsheet. And it says normal priority, that's fine. I'll say finished. And now it's scheduled that job. So that job's out there in my queue, and I can run it whenever I want, or I can go back and delete it, whatever. But that's how easy it is to schedule. If I click on Excel, here's this report being output to Excel. Now remember, this is, we're reading like 53,000 rows, so it's a pretty decent size Excel spreadsheet we just generated. So here's that report in Excel. Now, if we had any formatting, all of that would go down to Excel. But again, I'm going to grab my scroll bar here. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the report because I want to show you this. If I click on these totals, notice these totals come in as an Excel function. It's not just a printed value. So that's, again, is really nice. I'm going to go back up here because I want to show you the Excel add-in real quickly. Go to the top of that Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to just click right there. I'm going to click on Cyber Query, open my Cyber Query ribbon. I'm going to say I want to insert a report, and I'll insert it from my local machine. And I'm going to go in. It's going to make me log in. And I'm going to go look at my SyteLine data. And I've got a report down here that shows me sales details. Now, the system's going to ask me 5 questions. It says, okay, for any prompts or any input fields, do you want those to appear in the spreadsheet or come in via a separate pop-up dialog? I like them in the spreadsheet, so I'm going to choose that option. It says, you want to include refresh time? I'll say yes. It says, do you want to include in the server information? I'll say no, don't include that. But I will say, make my Excel formatting take precedence over the report. So I go check, 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 hit finish. The system goes out there, runs the report. And let's make this a little bit wider here. We'll just scroll over. So here you can see the report. And let me scroll over. So you can see here my input fields in light yellow. I can come in here, and this is Excel data now. So I can come in here and say, let's do a auto sum on those 3 columns. I can take that that column now and just, drag that calculation down a long ways. We'll just call that good. But again, it's Excel, so I can double click there. I can say, let's right mouse or right justify. I want a color. But again, I can do anything I can do at the Excel level. I can also come in here. Here's my input field saying, I'm starting with company 100 and I'm ending with 525. You'll see the customer or the company numbers right there. Let's say I only want to see company 100 through 100. I'm going to change that to 100. Hit enter right now. It just goes out there, runs. And now that quickly, I've changed my selection criteria, it's updated my report, but everything done at the Excel level continues to work as I built it in Excel. So that's Excel. Okay, we'll get out of Excel. Don't save that. And let's go through. So if I wanted an HTML version of the report, I click right there. If I want a PDF, I click there. If I want comma separated value or any delimiter, I can check right there. If I want to email the report, I check there. And again, I just pick my option. If I click on the keyboard, here's the syntax behind the report. Now, most end users never see the syntax, but it's nice to have it there because if you ever want to do a mass change, you can do it that easy just under there. Okay, I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to say, wait, sometimes going out to that syntax takes a second or two. But again, most users never see that. But again, it's there just to do mass changes with. If you look closely, my cursor's got the scroll next to it. That lets me do the dragging and dropping. I'll show you the drill in a minute. The paintbrush lets me control font, style, and color. So I can highlight a column. I can say, let's make this column bigger and let's bold it. And maybe make my background color. Here's a light purple and say, okay. So that's all done. I can also conditionally highlight. I'm going to say if my quantity on hand is greater than or equal to, I'll make it an even 1,000 units. I'm going to add a highlight, and I'll make that highlight kind of a gold kind of color. We'll say, okay. We'll apply that to the whole line. And so real quickly, we can spot anytime we've got more than 1,000 units on hand for any given item. Okay, we've got that. Camera lets me put in graphics, and I can change those logos. I can also come in here. Next icon over is my border tool. I'm going to grab the border tool and just draw a box. And I'm going to say right mouse click. I'm going to my border properties, and I'll say make this look striped. And I'm going to alternate between kind of a blue and a white. We'll say okay, okay. And now it's kind of like a green bar-like looking paper, but using blue instead of green. And again, I'm going to save that. And let's just do that. So I'm going to save it. When I save a report, it gets saved in my working directory. Users have their own working directory. They can also save these reports into more of a public directory to be called by dashboards or whatever you might need. But it's that easy to build, that simple report. Let's build another report now. I'm going to build a sum report. So summary, and I'll just show you quickly how I can do this. I'm going to go click on sum. I'm going to go look at type in the word sales here. I want to go look at my sales lines, and I want to summarize that field called amount. So just double click on amount, and I want to summarize amount by means down the page. I want to go down the page by my customer address right there, and I'm going to use that field called name. And then I want to go across by my order date. And again, I just go click, click, click. Here's an example. Here's the timestamp for order date. Here's the sister field that CyberQuery automatically builds that is just regular date field. So I'm going to use that field. Anytime I have a question, I just go highlight, right mouse click, go to my properties, and I can click on my sort and say, let's sort it by year and quarter, maybe by year and month. Or maybe I want to do it by week. I just check there. Let's just do it by year right now. So I'm going to check, 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 do a total, say okay, say finished. And the system goes out there and that quickly is generate a report by customer across year with my sales amount. And I can say, okay, I'm done, or I can just click and drag. So I might say, let's bring in here data from my item table. Here's my description for my items. I'm going to drag that in and drop it. So here's showing me sales by customer, by product, by year and amount. If I take description and put it in front of name, then I'm looking at sales by product, then by customer name, by year and amount. But again, it's all drag and drop, just that easy. Anytime I want, I can highlight a column, I can hit my delete button, and that column's gone. I can also bring in here, here's an example of bringing in data from Excel. Here's an email address in this little Excel spreadsheet. So that first column's coming from SyteLine, second column coming from Excel, back to SyteLine for those data. But again, just highlight, hit delete, and it's gone. Let's also do this. I'm going to come in here, and I want to show you how the drill works. I'm going to click on my drill, and now I can drill down in any given column, row, or combination. So for example, I might say BP ship to, BP all roles, and Steve at Big Mart. That's really the same group. I can create a new category, and we're going to call it BP. There's a P, and say OK. So now those 3 rows are consolidated down into that one that we've labeled BP. I can obviously just undo that, and we're kind of back to where we started. I can also come in here with my drill and say, okay, looks like Lowe's bought a bunch of stuff in 2020. Let's go see what they bought. Right mouse click, and I'm going to drill down. And I can drill down and basically pick any item from my dictionary. So again, if I wanted to drill down and see what products they bought, I'm going to go over here to my general item data, grab my description, pull it in here, just highlight it and say, okay. So now here's sales by product code or by product description. I can say, oh, we sold a lot of cabinets. Let's right mouse click again. Let's drill down one more time. And let's say this time I want to drill down by my order number. Pull in order number. There I am, say okay. And now here's my, it's broken down where customer year equals 2020, customer name equals Lowe's, and my product is cabinets. But again, I just click and drag. So I can keep going. If I wanted to bring in here something like, maybe I want to bring in here, here's my price. Click price, click, drag, drop. If I want to bring in here quantity ordered, again, just click, drag, drop it anywhere I like. And it's that easy to navigate through all my data, just left mouse, right mouse. So again, super easy to use. I can come back here and let's do an undo and an undo and an undo one more time. And I'm going to say, you know what, I'd like to, first of all, I'm going to go back and click on my scroll. I'm going to come in here, go to my item properties on my customer name. I'm going to say, let's rank my customers. I only want to see my top. I'm just going to do, we'll do 7 and say, okay. Everything else goes into a bucket called other. So there's kind of ranking, based on total sales right there. And what I want to do now is I'm going to say, take this data and I can publish it to my Launchpad. But before I do that, let's convert this to a chart. I'm going to click right there on my chart. I'll convert it in a new window or in this window. It goes out there and the default is to show a line. This data looks better, I think, if I click on a bar. Here it is by bar. And I'm going to get rid of a year for just a second. I'm going to hit my delete button. So here's sales by customer by year. And this might also look better as a pie. I'm going to click on my pie. There's that data as a pie or as a donut. And again, I can come in here and I can change these coloring for any of these labels. I can click here and add a drill or a link. So when somebody clicks on any of those values, they're going to drill down to a next level report or report after that. But again, it's all click, click, click. And that's all your users really need to know. So let's see. I've got a couple questions that have come in. Okay, the question about canned reports and dashboards. So yes, there are, like I mentioned, there's probably 200 canned reports and dashboards that come with the product, and you can use them as is or modify them, and it runs the gamut. There's all kinds of, financial reports and sales reports and dashboards for all of the above. Most people take them and they'll modify them. They'll change the things like the site ref and all of that. But again, yeah, you can take these dashboards and modify them very quickly to do exactly what you need to do. Another question about, can we access SyteLine on-prem and CSI cloud at the same time? The answer is yes. So again, with CyberCore, you can pull in data from multiple sources. You can even pull in data. We've got customers that pull in Epicor data from SQL Server and merge that with data coming out of CSI in the cloud to do consolidated sales, every day kind of report. So yeah, all of that. Okay, well, I appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I'd be happy to answer it. And if you want the evaluation copy of the software, just check that in the survey you'll see here at the end of the demonstration, or if you like a link to the recording, that's also available in that survey. But thank you very much for your time, and look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks.